Hi, welcome back to our channel, Rewind Restoration. Just want to say thanks for watching. We did get one more subscriber, another mystery. So thank you for that. Today we're going to get started on the brakes. So far we've taken off all the wheels just to see what kind of components are there or not there. And let's get going. Looked at all the components on the brakes and everything seems to be good, in good shape. So now what we're going to do is connect the master cylinders. And the reason why we think this is a restoration, as mentioned, is because these were found in the box of the stuff that came with the car. So it looks like they were going to try to do it, but just never did. So we have the clutch master cylinder, and for the brake, my husband created this nut on the end of this thread. And this is going to be the linkage to the pedal for the clutch, and this is going to be the one for the brake, and we also have this brake line. And also, if you're doing this, be sure to install the clutch first because it's going to be impossible to do it the other way around. So the best sequence to do this is to first connect the hydraulic line and then connect the linkage to the pedal and then bolt the master cylinder on. Okay, now that the master cylinders are both hooked up, everything is hooked up. So now what we're going to do is have to bleed the brakes. And what we're going to do first is take off all of the bleed valves and make sure they're not clogged. So when we go to bleed them, everything will be working fine. And so we put this and clean this with a brush because it was pretty rusty, and just make sure that it's clean like that. And then we're going to do that to all four of them, and we'll get started bleeding the brakes. So this is why we're doing the bleed valve check beforehand, because look at this one. If we would have started bleeding, this one would not have received any kind of fluid. So we have to clean this one out really good and put it back on. Okay, so now we're going to start bleeding the brakes, and look at this great access this car has to this master cylinders. So we're going to put the brake fluid in here. Well, apparently that was the end of day one, and we didn't finish that video with an ending or anything. We just went on to day two, complete with the wardrobe change and just ready to go without any regard of how to end day one. So moving on to day two. So this is the third day of working on the brakes. Some of the wheel cylinders had to be rebuilt because they were very corroded and the little gasket was rough and crumbly. So these have been repaired. And we got to the very last brake line, the passenger front side, and we noticed that there's a hole. So now we bought this universal brake line with the same diameter, and we are going to bend this to match this and take this adapter off of here and put it on the end, because of course they don't have this at O'Reilly's anymore. And then that's where we are. So since we need this fitting here for the new line, we're going to use this tube cutter and cut it so we can put it onto the new line. So now that we cut the top off, we're going to take this old fitting off and put the new one on that we need. Not new, the 65-year-old fitting that we need. And I'm going to take this price tag off so it fits. Okay, and now we're going to double flare the end. Okay, so we're going to put this tool on here, close it up, and then we're going to take this flaring tool, and we need to get this brake line even with this. So we're going to unloosen this and move it up until it matches. That actually looks pretty good. So these are the same height here. So that's step one. Okay, so now we flip this around, put this in the vise to hold it this way. This clamp here is holding on the piece that we measured before. And now we're gonna just twist this. So this is how the first flare looks. So now we're going to start bending it to make it look like the old line. And to do that, we're going to use this bending tool, which you do this and bend it by hand. And this way you won't get any nicks and everything will be nice and smooth. So this is what our final piece looked like. And I think we did a pretty good job. And in this case, we measured twice and bent once. Okay, come to find out, after we tried to install this brake line, wouldn't you know that these two fittings are not the same either? Because why would they still have 65-year-old fittings at O'Reilly's? So now we're going to have to cut this out, double flare it again, and then install it. And here's the new brake line all installed, so nice and shiny, and it looks amazing. So one of the final steps is we need to get some air in these tires so we can do this test on the brakes. Let's get this going and stopping. So we're almost finished with the brakes. We rebuilt some of the wheel cylinders, but when we went to do the final bleed, some were leaking. So we had to order parts twice, new wheel cylinders, which sometimes happens. So now we're gonna do the final bleed and make sure everything's okay. We tested the brakes. We pushed the car back and forth in the garage and the brakes are working. So we're really excited. Be sure you tune into our next video where we're gonna tackle the electrical system. You don't wanna miss it. Thanks for watching as always, and please like and subscribe. Thank you.